It's my birthday, and you can't tell me shit! All this and more on Cutting Edge Hero Live! Welcome to Cutting Edge Hero! I am the Nerd King, Danny Stewart, your host for this and every episode of Cutting Edge Hero. It is a very special episode today in that it is my birthday. I am another year older. I would say another year wiser, but I will prove that wrong in just this one episode. I also have my incredible older brother who's scared of the camera. Joey is here joining me as well. Joey, say hi to the folks.
Hello.
We also have my partners in crime, the one and only, the incredible, the indomitable Jen. Jen, what is up?
Not much. What's up?
Nothing much. Glad you're here. And then the one, the only, the finest human being to have ever walked this earth, the Landon Felter. Landon, how you doing today?
I'm doing as good as always. Far from the finest, though.
Hard disagree on that one. We also have our technical director and possibly human. We haven't seen the scientific results yet, but definitely our technical director, Randy. What is up, Randy?
I am alive and thriving, despite what my voice sounds like.
Glad you are here, Randy. Randy brought me an ice cream cake, which we're going to smash after the show. I will feed some into the microphone for you guys, so you can try it.
Cake?
What kind of ice cream cake?
Yeah.
I think it's made out of ice cream.
It's a Carvel.
Ooh.
Got the layer of crunchy in the middle.
Yes. Oh, he's got good taste.
Yeah, it's the only way to go.
He does have fine tastes. Also, our human relations specialist and fact checker extraordinaire, Ben Stewart, has assured me he will be in the chat tonight. So we'll see how that goes. But we've got a lot to talk about tonight, but we are going to fly through it pretty quickly so that I can go hang out with my family on the day of my birth. Before we go into any of our segments, let's talk about the nerdiest thing we've done this week. Landon, you want to lead us off?
All right. The nerdiest thing I've done this week is I put Rhythm Heaven, the original Rhythm Heaven, on my partner's 3DS. They absolutely love Rhythm Heaven, and I put it on there for 3DS for them. And what's nerdier than sharing the things you love with those you love?
Yeah, absolutely. Nerd share. That's what I always say. I be saying that all the time. Nerd share. If I know one thing about nerds, they be sharing. Jen, what's the nerdiest thing you've done this week?
Well, my husband and I finished up Kaiju number 8. I'm surprised people aren't talking about Kaiju 8 more. I don't know if maybe it's because it was released earlier in the year, but I thought it was amazing. I loved it. I can't wait for season 2 to come out.
I jumped into Kaiju number 8 because people were talking about it. So I don't know if that wave just rose and crashed before you were aware of it, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
I think it might have gotten overshadowed by solo leveling, honestly. And free. It came out in a hot year.
And Don to Don. It came out. It came out along. It came out right alongside Don to Don. And the drop of season 3 or Fire Force came right behind it. It was really in the middle of a lot of good anime this last year.
Maybe that's why, because I heard more about Dan and Dan and solo leveling and Freyren, and I didn't I don't know. I was surprised. I really liked it. If you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Chris from Nightmares and Nerdscapes is in the chat. Chris, glad you're here. What is up? Yo, indeed, good sir. Randy, what's the nerdiest thing you've done this week? And it better not fucking be changing your tires. I swear to Christ.
Well, then I wasn't as prepared. No, I got a cold this weekend, so I binge watched YouTube videos, Caravan of Garbages that I've seen like already like 3 or 4 times, but I just laid on my couch and was hot and cold at the same time while coughing my brains out and listening to movie goofs.
Well, I do love Caravan of Garbage, and I will agree that is a very nerdy thing to do. Yeah, absolutely.
Also while playing RuneScape. I didn't even get to use my new tires that much this week.
The nerdiest thing I've done this week is I dove into a new tabletop game that I've been playing. It is based on the Discworld. It is called Clax. It was created by Ninja Theory, or no, not Ninja Theory. Ninja. What did I say it was? Anyway, it is like a weird little game where you have like a 16-bit board with lights that you turn on and off, and you have to figure out how to turn them on and off in shapes that create letters. It's so like, it sounds so mundane, but it's so fun. And I really enjoyed it. And I've been playing a lot of Epic Spell Wars, Annihilageddon, which is a deck building game. It's a super inappropriate deck building game that I could never play with my children. That's got a lot of dick references in it, and it's a deck building game where you fight as different wizards fighting each other to like gain power and die the least. It's a lot of fun. Probably really underselling it. Joey, what's the nerdiest thing you've done this week?
Well, I've been downloading more
Get on the
mods
mic.
for. Sorry, not used to this. Downloading a bunch of mods.
I know you're
for-
leaning out of the camera shot.
My favorite game online is Slay the Spire. Now I know we have Slay Spire with friends and all kinds of add-ons. My new favorite thing is to get on and play the Packmaster on there, and I think that's the nerdiest thing I've done this week.
Fantastic.
Hell
Love
Yeah.
some Slay the Spire.
Yeah, seem to be getting a lot of support from the crowd here. Anyway, now that we've addressed the nerdiest things we've done this week, you guys want to talk about some news?
Always.
I don't know if I want to just yet.
Hey, Randy, why don't you fire those bullet points at me? Welcome to the bullet points. We are going to be talking about some of, but definitely not all of the news going on in the nerd world today. I will kick us off with comics. So Marvel Comics, a couple of years ago, did something that they felt was like correcting a longstanding issue with one comic character. He started out as kind of a racist. His comic in general started out as like a white savior hero versus a racist Asian stereotype. And of course, you all know who I'm talking about, and that is Iron Fist. So they killed him off a couple of years ago, and then they replaced him with the second Swordmaster character who is of Asian descent and made him the new Iron Fist. And Danny Rand, the blonde-haired California kid, was killed off from Marvel Comics. Well, Marvel is bringing him back and returning with a story about the legacy of the Iron Fist. He is coming back as an undead zombie version of the Iron Fist. So you are getting the undead Iron Fist coming out. Let's see. When is the release date on that? Undead Iron Fist coming out September 10th, written by Jason Liu with art by Fran Galan. And it will feature the return of Danny Rand as the Iron Fist. My niece Serena, Best of 9 Stewart, is in the chat. Happy birthday, Uncle Danny. Thank you for that. Not happy birthday back. That's not a thing people say. And then my beautiful wife Katrina in the chat saying hi. Hey, babe. But anyway, what do you guys think about the decision to return Iron Fist, but return him as a dead version of himself?
I really don't know how to feel about that, if I'm being honest. Like, it's definitely a direction, probably not one I would have gone with, if they go for like a whole meta story about letting the past die, that could be interesting. But I honestly have no idea. Is he coming back as an antagonist, or is he still like normal Iron Fist besides being undead?
So apparently the story is that he's got a limited amount of time on Earth to correct and right some wrongs that he previously, or that people that are attacking the Iron Fist's legacy, and he's here to save the day again, as he's wont to do. But here, yeah, this is the cover of Undead Iron Fist #1, and that is the new look that Danny is going with.
I mean, I'm not upset by that. I was looking up what like their art looks like. Fran Galand.
Yeah, it seems like he's got a cool new metal arm, which is all the rage in Marvel right now. You know, everybody's getting a metal arm. You got Cable
made of iron, and better be.
Yeah, you got Cable, and you got Winter Soldier, and now Iron Fist. Like, who else? Oh, Thor had a metal arm for a while. He ripped the he lost his arm, so he ripped the arm off of the Destroyer and just made that his new arm. I don't know if you remember that. But anyway, moving along, Jen, what did we have in anime?
So some anime news. Just my big story today. I actually haven't watched this anime. I'm curious to see if any of you guys have, but after reading this, I might give it a whirl. So the beginning after the end. So Crunchyroll officially announced that the season 2, the beginning after the end, is going to be going for a renewal, but it's actually one of the most controversial animes of the spring, apparently. And actually originally was a web novel series written by Turtle Me. So the criticism comes due to the animation quality with the viewers kind of comparing it to like a slideshow, and you don't actually get like a whole lot of like character movement and like background movement, but people were still watching it and like droves and droves. That didn't apparently turn a lot of people off to it at all. So it's actually ranking top 10 in the UK and the US, or part of the top 10, peaking at number 2. And then it's also doing really well in Japan. So the premise of the story is the series about his name is King Gray. He dies and then he's reborn in a second life as a baby, but he retains all the knowledge from his previous life. So he's kind of
Mushoku Tensei.
Yeah. And he's basically like trying to go and right some wrongs that happened during his previous life. And there's like a magical world and he's trying to like learn to be like a sorcerer and everything. So I'm like, just like looking at some of the pictures, I was like,
I am a sucker for a good isekai, especially, not especially, just any of them, really. That I haven't really come across any that I don't care for. So this is probably one I will check out eventually, but it's not on my radar. I did notice you were nodding and agreeing. Are you familiar with this?
I have watched some stuff on it. Stop. I got to get used to this mic thing. I'm sorry. Sorry, everybody at home. I'm new to this. First time ever. Yeah.
Long time listener, first time caller. Just happy to be on the radio.
Yeah. So it's kind of like animating a webcomic, but I mean, in theory, it's good. The story's good, but it's not something I've watched a lot of yet.
Is it, would you have the same complaint that it's not like visually, it's kind of hard to watch because it looks like a slideshow?
Yeah. It's, you got to be really into it. Let me move over here and act like I love you. Okay.
There we go.
Perfect. Better? Am I on there now? Okay.
No, it's okay. It is totally fine that you have a little bit of stage shyness and you keep just doing this.
Just keep leaning farther out of the frame
as you talk.
I slowly move away.
Anyway, and he doesn't know what to do with his hands,
right?
But that's okay. Moving along to TV, Steven Universe is returning with a new series. So those of you fans of Steven Universe, Rebecca Sugar, the executive producer of Steven Universe and the creator of the show, was featured on stage at the, let's see, what was it called? The International Animation Film Festival this year. She is introducing a show called Steven Universe, Lars of the Stars. Now, we don't know any details about what the show is going to be about, but I think if you're a fan of Steven Universe, you are aware that Lars starts out as kind of a jerk, like punk teenage kid. He then dies and is resurrected and gains all sorts of crazy abilities and becomes a space captain. And he's basically like the Han Solo of the Steven Universe series. So
Spoilers.
it'll be interesting to see what this series is going to be about. But I am excited because I love Steven Universe, and I do think like even that last series that they gave us, Steven Universe, what was it? Forever?
Future.
No.
I've not
Future.
ever watched
Steven Universe Future was good, but it was also very contained and didn't give us a lot of expanded Steven Universe world. And I'm interested to see what a regular series could do with maybe a handful of seasons as opposed to that one special. Thoughts?
I would totally watch it. Totally gonna
I've
watch
never
that.
seen Steven Universe, but I know it's one that my friends like get so mad at me for not having watched yet.
Yeah, it feels like something you would really enjoy, Randy.
I would if it's anything like what I like. I've seen clips and I'm like, I'd be into that. I just haven't committed to it yet.
Moving along to gaming, Landon, what do you got?
All right, two main stories. Samantha Kelly, the voice actor for Princess Peach since 2007, is being let go by Nintendo. She was given the news the same day the Switch 2 released, and they're just dropping her out of the blue.
Rude.
And they haven't given her any reason, or she has no idea why she would be.
I don't think any reason has been given out as of yet. Like for Charles Martinet, we kind of knew it was because he was getting older and everything. I mean, he was still doing like press for Nintendo afterwards. Mm-hmm. But Kelly just seems like she's just, I don't know, they're just letting her go. No real reason.
So that's interesting because the fact that Nintendo is being quiet about it and not releasing any kind of a statement, I think is weird. You would think that after 18 years of voicing Peach, they would have something to say about, cutting ties with her. And it would be, I would assume they'd want it to look at least on the surface amicable and not like she's completely replaceable.
I mean, she did release like a statement, but it was mostly just like a thank you all for all the years of being Princess Peach. It has been a blast. I hope you continue to enjoy my work in the future. She doesn't seem to be bitter about it. At least she's not shown to be bitter about it. So who knows? Maybe there is some writing on the wall that we all just didn't see. Maybe there's some stuff going on behind the scenes. Who knows? But as of right now, at least in my research, I didn't see anything. Something could have popped up and it just completely went over my head, but I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything explaining it. What were you saying, Jen?
It's probably some back alley stuff. Like she got in with the mob and she owes the money. And Nintendo's like, I don't want none of that heat.
Yeah, she's a drug lord.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, she kept promising to bring people cake. And it was drugs the whole time.
I'll get you.
Yeah. Second piece of news.
Ooh, Go ahead, sorry.
Second piece of news. A GameStop in Staten Island is under a bit of fire because they accidentally, while stapling receipts to the boxes of Switch 2s, stapled through the box and into the Switch screen.
Oh, God.
So the way the boxes are set up is that the Switch is at like the very top of the box with just like a very thin piece of plastic covering it up. So really any bump or anything right on the top of the box could damage the screen. A lot of people,
like a newborn baby.
That's insane.
Exactly.
That's insane. Just way to package something.
Horrible packaging. Yes.
A lot of people, including the people who have had their Switches broken because of the staples, were like, yeah, this isn't entirely on GameStop here. This is a terrible way of packaging. And GameStop has quickly been like replacing these Switches. A lot of people are really grateful for the quick customer service and the quick turnaround and getting them their replacements.
I've heard there's a bunch of scalpers holding on to extras if they need to get one fast.
All over the internet.
Yeah, so I've heard.
Stapled though to the top.
But so I don't know when or where it became a common practice that they're stapling receipts to boxes for video games and video game systems anyway. When did that fucking start? I've never seen that.
I mean, I've seen some places will attach it to the boxes before. It's normally like, hey, if you're going to be picking this up and you want to grab it and go, like a midnight release.
Okay.
That's normally what they'll do. It's normally like a tape thing or something.
We invented tape for that reason.
Yeah.
No,
I guess staples were like a last minute thing at this Staten Island GameStop. But, you know, it's...
Yeah, they're breaking out their fucking Stanley fucking super stapler with like 3/4 inch staples on it. And they're like,
Possibly a nail gun.
done.
got it.
But yeah, it seems like this story was pretty open and closed. We haven't heard anything about anybody at this GameStop being penalized. Like I said, it's an odd thing to use staples, but it's also pretty odd to put a Switch screen up that high in the box that could easily be damaged. So
Yeah, I'm like, how long were these staples, and like, how thin was the box? I know the boxes aren't like that thick, but I'm like, there's not even like a plastic wrap to like.
I think there was like a thin
staples.
plastic sheet of some kind, but it wasn't much. Like even people who weren't getting their Switches stapled were opening the boxes, posting online and being like, hey, this is really dangerous. Y'all better be careful with your Switches if you're getting them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Jesus
that's
Christ. Well, moving on from that, my last bit of news is in the realm of movie news. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we unveiled the Fantastic Four First Steps Galactus popcorn bucket, and we had some discussion about what modifications we would or would not need to make to this thing to make it functional for us. And with that in mind, Cinemark dropped their newest popcorn bucket for the Superman movie. Check this out right here.
Oh.
I can't see it.
Oh
A
no.
lot is coming.
Take it a bit.
Wait, is it up there for you guys?
It is not.
No, we don't have it.
Why is this image not populating?
Oh no.
I mean,
it's
is
too,
it-
it's too much.
is it crypto? Because we're seeing it.
Oh, you see
You
it?
can see it.
I
Yeah.
can't see it.
Oh, well, you can't.
So
see
yes, it is Crypto the Super Dog carrying a popcorn bucket. Are any of you, my friends? Oh, that's why. Why is it not showing up on the screen
it.
for
I don't
us?
know. That's weird.
But you guys are seeing it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
we
still up
see it.
there.
Fantastic. Okay, that was a weird one. It's Crypto's dick in a box. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chris. That is it.
There's the line.
Are any of you bold enough to tackle what you would do to this particular popcorn container besides just eat popcorn out of it for this good boy?
Well, here's the problem. I wouldn't eat popcorn because that would be taking popcorn away from Crypto, and I won't be doing that. I'll give him a gentle boop on the nose, and won't be having popcorn for the movie.
Okay.
This is
So
the one popcorn bucket I kind of.
Are you telling me no one's trying to fuck this dog?
I know.
You apparently.
Danny, it's your birthday.
There you go. There's
You
your
tell
birthday
us
present.
how
No.
what you are going to do.
Well, Galactus is just a straight up like real doll head.
Consenting adults.
Yeah. Anyway,
You know-
Randy, feel free to take the image back down. Also, Deontay the Giant
Oh,
was in the chat, said, "Happy birthday! What is up, Deontay? Glad you're here." But anyway, yeah, Landon, I feel like you're formulating something there.
you know,
Looks like he's plotting.
there's a time when you gotta jump ship when it comes to a bit. And I think this is where I gotta jump ship.
The line in the sand
So-
is drawn, and you walk across that. What is this?
No,
they heard us last week or a couple weeks ago,
I know.
and they were like, "We're gonna give them a challenge."
Look, honestly, I don't want this popcorn bucket, like carnally or collectively. But I
I was gonna say
it is so-
collectively.
it
I
is
think
so
it
fucking
would be
cute though.
So
I think it would be nice because I think like that popcorn bucket is shaped just right to like just fit random stuff in it. Like I think it's actually like a pretty decent container of some kind.
Randy
this
air quotation you.
This is the popcorn bucket that I would actually want. You could put like little dog treats in it, or like use it as a piggy bank.
It's a great place to keep your Scooby snacks. Or just
they have graham cracker Scooby snacks that are the bomb.
Randy,
and that would be perfect.
Randy, please, do you know who Charlie Kirk is?
Yes, I do. Unfortunately,
if you could just flash an image of him real quick, that'd be fantastic.
Give me a second.
Oh my god, I don't even want to know where this is going. But hold on, Randy's hunting down an image of Charlie Kirk. But that being said,
the wheel is spinning. It doesn't want me to find this image.
I do love that, like, we've been getting more and more depraved with our popcorn bucket choices. And because this is a Superman movie, James Gunn is going fucking wholesome, which is the one thing James Gunn never does.
Yeah, Dune bucket of Dune.
Yeah, give me a GI robot popcorn bucket. I'll tell you like 7 different ways. But I can't do that to crypto.
Yeah. What do we have in the comments there, Randy?
I know. I'm scared.
See, we're spooling up there with all the it's all Chris. It would be a great planter. Crypto's popcorn bucket is made for fucking. Prove me wrong. Okay, Chris, good one. Or change my mind or whatever he fucking says.
My wheel is spinning, but I am getting no Google results for this man.
I feel like the computer may be having issues again this week. We need to make an effort of restarting it prior to the show. Anyway, I'm assuming you're doing the prove me wrong thing.
No.
Okay.
It is about a totally different meme involving Charlie Kirk and certain things with dogs that has become a meme for people wanting to make fun of him.
I gotcha.
And that might just be a little too out there for some people. A little too esoteric, I mean. But yeah, there's a meme going around involving Charlie Kirk after a joke he made about dogs, and he quickly tried to bury it, and we didn't let him.
He's in with Google, and they're not letting me pull up an image of him because
apparently
of that.
It's just that our internet is being slow because my phone wouldn't load anything either. Okay, Charlie Kirk, he sucks. But anyway, I hope this news didn't just graze you. This has been the bullet points. Welcome back to the show. We are going to skip the interview section of the show this week just for time and move along to the hit list. So this week on the hit list, we are talking about our 5 favorite Marvel characters. Welcome to the hit list. This week, we are talking about our 5 favorite Marvel characters. Obviously, these are characters traditionally from Marvel Comics, Marvel Entertainment, Marvel video games, whatever, as long as it's falling under the Marvel banner. So to begin, Landy, why don't you kick us off with your number 5?
So for my hit list, I didn't want to do my actual 5 favorite. Mostly because mine are all really fucking mainstream. Like, who wants to hear Spider-Man on another top 5 list of whatever you like about Marvel? And I'm sorry, I don't mean to make fun of you. I just
it's okay. Still love you.
It just happens.
I know that isn't intentional, Landon, but it's kind of a theme for you the last few weeks.
Actually, it is.
Like the one where you listed Spawn 3 times in favorite image characters, and it was Jen's number 1.
And my mom was my number 1. I was like,
I'm sorry, Jen.
It's okay.
But anyway, Landon, what's you have for number 5?
My number 5.
Misogyny.
My number 5 is Access. He is both a Marvel character and a DC character. He was integral to the Amalgam storyline and still pops up from day to day. His whole job for both comic lines is to keep the universes apart. And normally it's something like, oh, these 2 characters fell into each other's universes. I got to help them with whatever adventure they're on and then get one back home and then I bounce.
Yeah.
And he tries to keep damages down to a minimum and just tries to keep things going as smooth as possible.
So yeah, sorry,
sorry.
go ahead, Landon.
I was just gonna say, and I've always loved like universe spanning stories. I've always liked characters whose whole bit was just popping from universe to universe and seeing what was different.
So our human relations specialist and fact checker extraordinaire, Ben Stewart, is in the chat. He says, "Hi, peoples, and happy birthday, Dan boy." No one calls me Dan. Knock it off. Anyway,
Dan.
and the thing I loved was like I was saying before we went live, I enjoyed the Amalgam universe and I enjoyed that whole storyline, the event that it was. But afterwards, they did a series called Maximum Access, and it was just him jumping, like you said, it was just him like hanging out in the universe and just doing access things. But during the Amalgam crossover, the Marvel versus DC crossover, Robin, Tim Drake, and Jubilee of the X-Men started dating. And Access was like once a week picking one of them up and bringing them to the other universe so they could have dates. And that was part of that like whole storyline, which I just thought was like really funny. It was just like, we're done, the crossover's done, but two of the characters are dating, so we'll make it work. It's super long distance.
I don't know. It's a sweet little bonus story for everything.
Yeah. Jen, what did you have for your number 5?
My number 5 is Domino. I really loved how Domino was depicted in the Deadpool movie. I just love the fact that she's a mercenary. She's fucking badass. But then she also has this ability to manipulate the probability of things going in her favor. And it just comes out of this incredibly intense amount of luck. And it was so cool to see on screen. Like I would back stuff up and I'm just like, how do they, like, even CGI wise, I'm like, how did they do that? Like, it's freaking amazing. So I love Domino.
Yeah, I really liked the way they handled that in Deadpool or in the first or second Deadpool movie when they introduced Domino, because traditionally Domino is bleach white with a black spot on her eye. And in Deadpool 2, they made her a black woman with a white spot on her eye, which was like so fucking smart. Like just flip it. She's a black domino with a white spot instead of a white domino with a black spot. It works so well. I loved the characters. Zazie Beetz did a great job playing her. But yeah, I also enjoy her genuinely as a character from the comics. Being a founding member of X-Force, having a weird relationship with Deadpool and Cable, and having that all happen. So big fan.
Whenever Deadpool 2 came out, me and my friends were talking about like, because Thanos was a thing and everything. But it was like, so if he randomly, like he snaps his fingers and randomly like eliminates half the people of the universe, like she's definitely surviving because like just ability luck. And we were talking about like a standoff between Domino and Thanos where he just keeps snapping and having the universe. And then it just down to like the two of them, and she's standing there like cool as a cucumber, and he's just like being sweat. He's about to snap again, and I was like, that always makes me laugh. Anytime I think about Domino, that's what I think about.
That's great. Joey, what did you have as your number 5?
On my wonderful X-Men list I made, started with Beast. The man was smart enough to take care of himself, but strong enough to kick ass on the weekend.
Yeah, Hank McCoy, Mama McCoy's blue-eyed baby boy, original founding member of the X-Men, decided he wanted to make himself stronger and increase his mutant abilities, and in his attempts, fucked around and turned himself into a big blue gorilla, and made himself stronger and more agile, and still remains to this day one of the smartest characters in the Marvel universe. And he's had some pretty interesting things happen where, from the Age of Apocalypse, there was the Dark Beast, who was Hank if he'd gone completely immoral and evil. And then there was Actual Beast going completely immoral and evil in the Krakoa era of the Marvel Comics, and cloning Wolverine and then selling the clones to people for the highest bidder as sellable super soldiers and death squads. And Beast has had an interesting history. He's not always a good guy, but he's also one of the first X-Men characters who was a long-standing Avenger as well. So he's played in a lot of played on a lot of teams.
Is he the first mutant in the MCU as well, or did Namor come first?
Namor, with the MCU chronologically, Namor would have been the first mutant, but they didn't ever refer to him as a mutant. The first reference to an MCU character being a mutant was Miss Marvel, whenever they mentioned in.
They know he's in like an end credit scene, right?
And he's in the end credit scene of that, yes. But when they mentioned her in the Marvels as being a mutant, and then they briefly played the X-Men music, that was the first actual reference to her being a mutant. Although I do believe, yes, the first mutant in the MCU was in the Black Widow movie, and Red Guardian arm wrestles Ursa Major, the Russian mutant who has the ability to turn into an actual bear and then back to a human. He was a mutant, and he was the first mutant featured on screen in an MCU property.
Gotcha.
Unless you count Janet Van Dyne, who from the comics is a mutant, but also in the Ant-Man movies is not.
Just got a suit.
But anyway, yeah, there's a couple of things I don't know. It would take me, I don't know them till they come up though. It's very rare. I'm like, hey, I don't know that. But anyway, Randy, what'd you have as your number 5?
Before we get to the number 5, these will be real quick. There are 2 honorable mentions. One is Fat Mama. She was from a Who Wants to Be a Superhero. Are these showing up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. They're not showing up for us. But it's Fat Mama. She was from a reality show called Who Wants to Be a Superhero, who was like narrated and like judged by and led by Stan Lee. So it's a real woman. It was on the Sci-Fi Channel. I think they did 2 seasons. And she didn't win, but she's in it for a while. Her power is like to eat like sugary snacks or like donuts, I think is what she goes for, and she gets like super strength and invulnerability and stuff. She is just a great person in like the show, and it's just so good. And then the other one is from Earth 96433. It's the Queen Storm world, whatever, but it's the Hulk. And just because of this, it's like a Elizabethan era. And instead of it's clobbering time, he says, "Milady, 'tis the clobbering hour." And
that is not a classic Ben Grimm thing for sure. He's so I think it might be your file format why we're not seeing them on this, because that one worked.
Yeah, unless it's like catching up or something. I don't know.
Oh,
but my actual number 5 is Magneto, featured here, killing Red Skull, a notorious Nazi. Not with his powers. In this, like, he tells him, he's like, "I understand you hate our kind, so your death will be pure. I won't use magnetism. I'll use my fists," and then beats the crap out of him, and then drops a wall on him with his hands. Like, he picks up a big chunk of bricks, and just So that's him killing Red Skull, and that's Magneto. He's just
and I'll mention this at the beginning of Randy's list because it may come up several times. But I cosplayed Red Skull right at the beginning of COVID at one of the I believe it was Cape Anime, and so in order to get the costume put together, because I wanted it to be a really good Red Skull costume, I had to order a 1930s, like mid 30s, early 40s German military uniform, which, if you're not familiar with that period in time, is also a Nazi uniform. And so I do have a Nazi military uniform hanging in my basement for my Red Skull cosplay. And I assume, and I could be wrong, but I assume that I am on some sort of registry somewhere by the FBI or CIA due to that. Possibly also I was pre-registered as a Trump voter against my will because of the Nazi uniform. But who knows? But anyway, Randy, what do we have in chat?
Deontay says Tony Stark, Iron Man.
That's a great pick. Tony Stark is one of the foundational characters from the Marvel Universe. He's obviously the character that launched the MCU. And thankfully, Robert Downey Jr. had been living as a real life Tony Stark for years prior to being cast as Tony Stark, and so he was the perfect person to play the character. What else we got?
Nightmare and Nerdscape says Strife.
Strife, the clone brother of Cable, previously mentioned, he does not have the legacy virus, which is what is slowly turning Cable into a robot, which is why he has one cybernetic arm and also why he can't use his full psychic abilities. Strife does not carry any of those weaknesses, and he is a villain.
Dang.
Yeah, cool character, though. My number 5 is hands down one of my favorite Marvel characters. I talk about him all the time. You guys are probably tired of me mentioning him, honestly, but it is Kid Omega from the X-Men. So this character came around during the era where Wolverine was leading the Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters after Cyclops had become a villain and had to go on the run, and Wolverine ended up the guy holding the bag because there was no Jean, there was no Professor X, and there was no Cyclops, so he became the leader of the Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters. Kid Omega was one of the kids he recruited. He was a pain in the ass. He was a mouthy little shit. Kid Omega has psychic abilities very similar to Psylocke or Professor X. But instead of using his to make cool pink laser swords on his hands like Psylocke does, he makes cool pink shotguns and other assault rifles and then blasts people with psychic bolts. He also is well known for wearing post Cyclops becoming the Phoenix and trying to destroy all of humanity other than the mutants. He was known for wearing shirts that said Cyclops was right. He's also known for wearing a shirt that says Magneto was left, which is just funny. And also he loves to drive Wolverine insane. It's like his hobby is that Wolverine ends up teamed up with Kid Omega, even though he doesn't want to be. And Kid Omega loves to take Wolverine to task for being exactly who Wolverine is. But Kid Omega, one of the best characters Marvel has come out with in a long time. But moving along, Landy, what'd you have for number 4?
All right. My number 4 is Mr. Immortal. The founder of the Great Lakes Avengers, later to be known as the Great Lakes X-Men, later to be known as the Great Lakes Champions, all of which heavily copyrighted in the Marvel Universe. His whole power is just that he is immortal. He gets that power through, I know he shortens it to Dirge, but I'm forgetting his full name.
I don't remember.
But yeah, he gets his power from an entity from a very young age, and his whole story is about how much it sucks to be immortal. He sees everybody he loves die around him. In those past times, he tries to off himself in bouts of depression, and every time he comes back, he goes through intense amounts of rage. And then he later finds out that his whole purpose of his life is to eventually see the end of the universe and discover the truth about everything and all of it. And my God, that's a horrible fucking fate.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's his name? The Immortal?
Death Urge.
Mr. Immortal.
Mr. Immortal. That's why I'm not finding him in the eyes.
Death Urge is what it shows. The cosmic entity Death Urge.
Death Urge. That's it.
Okay. Then I won't look that up. Yes. So the Great Lakes Avengers was another Avengers team spinning out of the idea of the West Coast Avengers, which was like the B-list Avengers, and the Great Lakes Avengers was like the D-list Avenger characters on a superhero team.
Not even official Avengers. They were unofficial bootleg Avengers.
It was a lot of times played for humor, but there were some really serious stories that happened within that as well.
Yeah.
Jen, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Nightcrawler. Again, X-Men 2, first like 5 minutes of that movie, just showing him going through the White House and just teleporting. I It was just amazing. I mean, how can you even fight somebody like that? That's ridiculous. But I love those first 2 minutes, and I just love so much of Nightcrawler's storyline and how he always still tries to do like the right thing. And yeah, he always helps out in a pinch. Love that. Just teleport.
Yeah. Kurt Wagner, the German character who looks like a devil, hid in a church when he was a child to avoid persecution, became a circus performer, then an X-Man. He is notably Wolverine's best friend in the comics. In the movies, that never really happened. But maybe with Alan Cummings joining Avengers Doomsday and us knowing that we are most likely getting the Hugh Jackman Wolverine back for that, we might get to see some of that relationship on screen. Not saying we will, but it's possible. When they did the Age of Apocalypse storyline and Kurt became like a swashbuckling character with two swords, that was a really cool era for Nightcrawler. And then whenever they did X-Men 97 and they introduced him into that series, and they gave him his swords, one in his tail and one in each hand. That was really fucking cool, and I'm glad they kept that. And I wish that was a regular part of that character from now into the future in the comics as well, which it typically isn't. But he's also a priest. He's that on again, off again. That priest denomination tends to disappear from the character and then be reasserted by somebody later. But Kurt is a devout Catholic who also happens to look like the devil, whose dad also happens to look like the legitimate devil, who also is retconned to not actually be his dad. And he's actually the son of two women, and Mystique, his mother,
gender fluid, probably.
Mystique, his mother, a shapeshifter, shapeshifted herself into a man and used the DNA of Azazel, who is the red demon that looks just like Nightcrawler, to make a son with her daughter, or with her, not with her daughter, with her wife, Destiny. What's Destiny's real name? Doesn't matter. With her wife Destiny. So that the origins of Kurt have gotten so convoluted with the idea that Mystique was his mother. Now Mystique is his father and Destiny is his mother. And she didn't want him or keep him or spend time with him because looking at him made her hurt because she couldn't be with Destiny anymore, her wife. Which is what they did in the Krakoa era. Yeah, Eileen Adler. So crazy, right? But Nightcrawler's a fun character.
Yeah. That went dark.
Joey, what do you have for your number 4?
That was my number 4.
So your number 4 was Nightcrawler as well. Okay, good pick. Any particular reason?
Just mostly the X-Men movies where you see him vamping everywhere, all over the place, saving people in outer space, and just it's just one of my favorite characters to watch. Really,
I do love X-Men 2 so much. It's one of my favorite.
Yes,
Marvel movies.
Joey's a little quiet right now. Like not just not on the mic quiet. Like I think someone got loosened kind of quiet.
Have we unplugged somewhere?
How about now? Try it again.
How about now?
Okay, you're coming in clear now.
Yeah, I used the same mic cable when Ken was down here the other day for our live stream for Cape Events, and it came loose. Let me know if it happens again. Hopefully it'll stay up the rest of the show. All right, Randy, what'd you have for your number 4?
My number 4, which I learned a little late, is Daredevil. Seen here punching Hitler, a Nazi, notoriously. This Daredevil is actually I think a DC version of Daredevil from the 40s. So oopsie on that as far as Marvel goes, but the abilities are the same. So, and he's punching Hitler. So I think he gets to be an honorary member today.
Punching Hitler, is that what you're saying?
So there is another Daredevil character. I have some of his comics. He isn't the Marvel character.
Mm-hmm.
But if Daredevil is your Marvel choice and you didn't mean the DC version, then it's still Daredevil, even though you use the wrong image, and that's okay. Fantastic. What do we have in chat?
We have Deontay also says Matt Murdock, Daredevil, Wilson Fisk, and Kingpin are tied.
It's a good choice.
Which, the new show, I just watched it recently. Some of us liked it more than others, but some of us are probably bigger fans of Daredevil.
I know you're pointing your finger at me for that. I enjoyed the show. I just had some legitimate complaints. I don't believe they're above criticism, but criticizing something doesn't mean I don't like it.
And Deontay shares my sentiments.
Yes, Hugh shares all of our sentiments.
And then also in chat, we have Nightmare Nerdscape, Howard the Duck.
That movie's the best. I don't care what anybody says.
I had him on my list at one point today, but I took him off.
You took him back off?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Also, Howard the Duck. God, what is it? They are legally allowed to use the likeness of Donald Duck for the Howard the Duck character. Even they've allowed Marvel to do that. Prior to them buying Marvel, they were okay with it. I don't remember what the reason was though, but they allowed them to continue to use Howard the Duck looking like Donald Duck. I can't remember what I read something or I listened to something about it on a podcast or something, and I apologize for not having better information. But like usually Disney, historically one of the most litigious companies in the world, was totally okay with like, yeah, sure, use Howard the Duck or use Donald Duck for Howard's face.
There was there's a story, I don't know who owned him originally, but like the creator of him, there was something with Howard the Duck where he, I think, like sold the rights to Marvel to use, and then like they were sharing them for a while in some way, and then they had a comic where it was a crossover, and the comic was like pretty much the same except for like, we followed one character doing their adventure, and then they met near the end, and then they like beat the big bad and parted ways. But in the Marvel one, that's where it ended. They parted ways, and like Howard the Duck goes to the Marvel universe and leaves the whatever his original universe was behind. And then, but the other comic had another panel where it's revealed that that was a clone, and the original Howard the Duck stayed in his original universe.
Yeah.
So like canonically, he's like the comic book, the Howard the Duck in Marvel isn't the original, and it was just kind of like a silly way of like getting the character back, even though like legally I don't think they have any rights to it, but that the original is quote unquote original is in its own universe owned by like the original like creators of it.
People shit on
the
movie from the 80s with Molly Ringwald. I love that movie. I think it's so funny. I don't care that Howard uses quack foo, or that he's just like, really not believable. He doesn't really look like Howard the Duck from the comics. He's got a tiny little beak. He looks more like Baby Huey.
Quack Fu was the martial arts from his world. It was called Quack Fu in the movie, in the comic. So,
but yeah, I love it, and I was really happy to see him. Nightmares on Nerdscape says I have that movie in all formats, but VHS can't find that one. If you haven't seen it, it's good. It's definitely worth watching.
Produced by George Lucas, and that's really funny.
Yeah. All right, so that is everything in chat. My number 4 is a character with a rich history in the Marvel universe, which is the thing that a lot of people don't realize, but it is Optimus Prime, the big bot himself. So I love Optimus Prime. I don't think I've kept that a secret from anybody, but whenever Hasbro first brought the characters from Japan to America, and decided to start a series of transforming robots and make a cartoon out of it, they hired Marvel Comics to write histories and backstories for all of these characters. And Optimus Prime is the first one that was written. He's the original, very first idea they wrote for any Transformers character, and it has stuck mostly the same since his creation from Marvel Comics first writing who Optimus Prime is and what he does. And I believe like the freedom is the right of all sentient beings was something that was originally penned by Marvel prior to it becoming part of the cartoon and part of the character. Like it was super important. So, obviously Marvel published Transformers comics for a long time, but if it was not for the Marvel creative team of the 80s, we would not have the Optimus Prime we have today. Landon,
pick.
what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Speedball, also known as Penance. He is a character that goes from this cocky, kind of want to be well known as a hero type to fucking up massively, like in the worst way you can possibly think of.
Yep.
And then turning around in the middle of the first Civil War to try to become a new type of hero and use his pain as a way to like continue being a hero in the edgiest way possible. And it's just a heartbreaking isn't quite the right word. It's just it's always fucked up to see somebody go from cocky to absolutely broken as a human being beyond like what they really deserve. And like, yeah, he fucked up big time and he got what he deserved, but he was basically like a stupid kid for most of that. I mean, I think he was in his 20s by that point, but stupid kid mentality.
Like 26, so it's fine.
So Speedball, a long-standing character from the New Warriors, was what he was known. The comic series that he was known for. Chris said Landon's favorite character blew up a school bus. Just want to point that out.
Yeah, that's why I said he fucked up massively.
Were there people on the school bus?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Children.
Okay.
It wasn't him that did it though. So I'm trying to think of the character's name. There was a sometimes hero, sometimes villain character that this is what triggered the Civil War, the original Marvel Civil War, with the Hero Registration Act and all of that. But the New Warriors were trying to stop this villain whose ability was to basically explode, and they handled it really, really poorly. And he basically committed suicide and blew himself up, and it killed some kids in a school bus and a lot of other people. And because of that incident, they decided to start the Superhero Registration Act, which Iron Man was in support of and Captain America was not in support of, which eventually led to Captain America's death on the steps of the Supreme Court. But yes, in Speedball, in true edgelord fashion, decided that in order to pay for his mistake, he would create this character called Penance, and it was his penance for being for the mistake that he made. Now, Penance generated spikes that would come out of his skin, and he used them to fight. And the thing that was Nitro, thank you, Ben. Ben coming in clutch with the fact checking. Been a minute. So Nitro was the character that exploded and killed a lot of people. But so the spikes that grew out of Penance's body that he used to fight with, however far he pushed them out of his body, it also was pushing into his body the same distance, like a tree trunk. As tall as a tree comes out of the ground, it also goes into the ground. And that was what the Penance name was. So he was stabbing himself with his spikes at the same time as he was using them to fight people. And that's why his name was Penance.
All right.
Yeah. And also his suit had a bunch of spikes in them that was constantly stabbing him.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Jen, what did you have as your number 3?
My number 3 is Jean Grey. Probably more specifically with the Phoenix Force. I really loved a lot of her. I think her stories probably in the X-Men 97 were way better than what was depicted in the movies. The movies just didn't really do it for me. I like seeing it visually and everything, but I feel like the X-Men 97 show did a lot better job, especially all the stuff that her and Cyclops go through. And I like watching their relationship and her close friendship with Storm and everything. But honestly, it's just her powers are fucking badass, and she's a fucking badass, and I love her.
It was so promising in 2 though. That's why I love X-Men 2 so much, is because like I thought that was so promising, because at the end you get to see like the Phoenix
Yeah.
shape in the water, and like her powers are
Mhm.
messing up, and it's not like a cosmic thing anyways, but I loved it so much. And then 3 happened, and yeah. But one of my like favorite, like I will rewatch the clip where like her and Storm have like the heart to heart before the final fight in X-Men 97. It's one of my favorite
Yeah.
parts, which is, I guess it's more of a Storm part, but Jean is there. So like one of the best lines in that show is make them mind your weather, sister, and you weather their mind. I just fucked that up so bad, but it's one of my favorite lines. It's so good.
Yeah. I like
Yeah,
it.
so
Very fun little
X3
wordplay.
X3 riding the high of X1 and X2. X1, the origin of the X-Men. X2 gave us the whole storyline of Wolverine being turned into a super soldier in the Weapon X program, as well as a bit of a fight or a broader fight between Magneto and the X-Men. And then X3, they were like, let's just shove a bunch of fucking characters into this and ruin Jean Grey's story all in one movie. It did give us the Kelsey Grammer Beast, though, which is the one redeeming quality of that movie. Because other than that, it is a hot steaming pile of shit. I do love that whenever they relaunched the X-Men with First Class and then reintroduced all of these characters, and we had a new Professor X and all of that stuff, they basically made the same movie again with the Dark Phoenix movie.
They made it a cosmic entity.
They barely
kind of,
changed
but then goofed
anything
it
from
again.
X3 and made the same fucking movie over again, but somehow worse. And thought that was going to be okay. They were like, we'll just take all of our cues from the last one they did.
Yeah.
They
That was
both still made a lot of money.
So maybe now that we're finally getting mutants in the MCU, and the next phase post Doomsday and what is it? Secret Wars is supposed to be the X-Men era of the MCU. We might finally get someone who understands what the Phoenix is and how it affects Jean Grey and why it's such an important figure in the Marvel Universe. And maybe we'll finally get a decent fucking Jean Grey Phoenix movie.
Yeah. And I wish that they would go into the relationship that she has with the Phoenix Force, because there's so much more to it than just like this force or this parasite. Like, it actually is sentient, and she has a relation, not like sexual, but she has a relationship with it.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see that.
Yeah, I would also love to see them do the Wolverine at the end of time, where he takes the Phoenix Force after all the other mutants die and becomes the Phoenix himself. I think that storyline is really cool. I enjoy that.
I want to see X-Men versus Avengers just animated. I don't really even want to see it live action.
Yeah,
but just animated.
I'd like to see them do that Phoenix Force 5 storyline in live action as well. But obviously that would have to come after Jean's death, because that's how that works. And then the whole thing with Hope. So there's a lot of story before we get to that. But I would like to see that. Joey, what did you have for your number 3?
I went a little darker. I went with Punisher, actually. Good homely Marine comes home and goes out with his family and witnesses a mob murder, and then knowing all this happened, his family gets killed, so he goes on a wonderful beating spree. So Punisher, number 3.
Yeah, Punisher's a great character. The creator of the Punisher is actually local to this part of Missouri. He's from Jackson, I think.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. That's awesome. And he's a fun
and
character.
He's one of the creators
Rivals.
of Wolverine as well. Yeah. He's
awesome.
local to us. Anyway, Randy, what'd you have as your number 3?
My number 3 is Bucky Barnes, shown here punching the Red Skull, and by proxy Hitler. He's just like, he's made his big name in the movies now, and like he's kind of like, is he the biggest name that's current? Well, no, I mean they're all pretty big, but one of the biggest names in that's continued on in the movies and stuff. And yeah, he's just cool.
I would say
also,
Sebastian Stan is kind of the standard bearer for the MCU right now. I think
I was gonna say Florence Pugh's a really big name, but she hasn't been near as many films as he has.
Out of the first phase of the MCU characters that are still around, you kind of have Chris Hemsworth and and Sebastian Stan. Hemsworth's last movie as Thor bombed miserably. People did not love it. So I really say it's Sebastian Stan at this point, kind of representing the first phase of Marvel. And then obviously the Sam Wilson character came in later. He wasn't until Winter Soldier. So he was like phase 3 when he was introduced. So
But yeah, just Bucky. He's, died for a long time, came back in one of the coolest ways as Winter Soldier. And, and that's one of the best MCU movies was his introduction, which is another reason why I think he's been around for so long and like keeps coming back. And, like he makes a cameo in Brave New World, Captain America, Brave New World. And he doesn't do a ton, but he's in it. And it's like, still,
he gets elected as a senator in there.
He's the one to make cameos now to like people want to see him. So he's just a fun character. He's also really fun in Marvel Rivals.
Completely agree with that. He's Winter Soldier is my favorite MCU movie out of all of them to date.
It's like perfect.
One of those now features Wolverine in it, and Winter Soldier is still my favorite. Anyway, moving along, what do we have in chat for number 3s?
Nightmare and Nerdscape says Feral.
Feral's a good pick.
I don't think I know who that is.
Feral is one of the like in the like Wolverine family of characters.
Gotcha.
They're a like Sabretooth style character.
Okay. Then Deontay says Hank McCoy / Beast.
For the same as when Joey listed it, an incredible character. Love Hank. He's got a long-standing history in the Marvel universe. Does have big feet. Nightmares and Nerdscape said that Punisher was Dolph Lundgren's best role ever. Do you agree with that?
I disagree. Masters of the Universe.
That's another good one. In the 1987 Punisher movie, he's never known as the Punisher in it. They don't ever reference him as that, and he doesn't wear the skull, but Dolph Lundgren does play Frank Castle. And then in Masters of the Universe, he actually is referred to as He-Man, so I will say Masters of the Universe takes the win on this one. My number 3, you can see him here in this bobblehead pop I've got. It is the Immortal Hulk. Now, I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan of the Hulk. I like Red Hulk for sure. There's been some iterations of the Hulk that I've really enjoyed, but Immortal Hulk was one of those comic stories that was just so incredibly good and incredibly different from anything else Marvel has ever done. They made it a creature horror, body horror comic. It was terrifying. It was dark. It was heavy. Dealt with some it really moved the needle on some of the issues that Bruce Banner has been dealing with since his creation, and kind of changed the understanding of who the Hulk is and how the Hulk works. If you have not had a chance to check out Immortal Hulk, I promise it is one of the best comics to have ever been written. Please check it out. Landon, what do you have for your number 2?
Okay, so bear with me for a second here.
Will do.
My number 2 is Baron Zemo. Now,
No.
I like him for one specific reason. With just a little bit more detail, he becomes completely fucking ridiculous. Like, he was a weapons designer for like the fucking Nazis. He apparently invented tons of stuff, including weapons of mass destruction for himself and super weapons. And what is he most well known for? What is his greatest invention out of all of them? Glue. It's fucking glue. And then he's just a ridiculous, like, pompous sort of character that you saw him there holding his glass and everything. I'm pretty sure he carries a sword around with him. He carries ray guns and always dressed to the nines. And like, this guy is absolutely ridiculous. And somehow he's an Avenger level threat every time. Like, he is a cartoon villain. No matter, the only way you can make him a more realistic villain is to completely change him, like they did in the MCU. And like,
They got him his sock after a while for like one episode.
It was
For, like-
Falcon and Winter Soldier. They gave him
They
the
got him a
purple
sock.
stocking mask. Yeah.
they got him the sock, and they didn't even have the decency to glue it to his face. But yeah, he's just ridiculous, yet incredibly powerful and an incredible threat at the same time. And I just think that's fun.
And recently, in an attempt to bring him back and make him more dangerous, they have transferred Baron Zemo's brain into the body, into an adamantium cybernetic Wolverine body, and made him a evil robot Wolverine. So he's got that going for him now.
Does he still have the sock?
No purple
Dang,
sock for that.
Ugh. Flawed.
I think he just has like a Wolverine skull head.
Nightmare in Nerdscape says he's Ozempic Grimace Land.
Ozempic grin.
He's
Avengers
Ozempic.
Hamburglar.
Still, he's an Avenger fucking threat. Like, I don't know how. He just is.
He's long been a Captain America villain. And correct me if I'm wrong, but whenever they did the original Thunderbolts team, he was the leader.
He was. He was like the founding member of the Thunderbolts.
Yeah, and so he was. What was it? He wasn't Major. What was his character name? It wasn't Major Victory. It was like Patriot, or I don't remember what it was. It wasn't Patriot. But so Captain America, the leader of the Avengers, has always had a shield, and so whenever they made him the leader of the Thunderbolts, he had a sword in his red, white, and blue like American flag superhero uniform. It was Citizen V. Yeah, he was Citizen V. And he wore a Stars and Stripes motif, and he had a sword instead of a shield, and he was the first leader of the Thunderbolts. So, man, that guy gets around.
I know him mainly from like Earth's Mightiest Heroes show, and he was good in that. He was fun to, like, he was a fun villain. Which he was very much like a Hamlet style, if I remember right, like Hamlet style, like pontificating on his evil plans, and then they just punch him. But yeah,
all right.
It seems fun.
Jen, what'd you have for your number 2?
My number 2 is Magic. Ilana Rasputin. So I was so excited when this character came to screen on the New Mutants, and that's probably one of the only things I really liked about that
That's
movie.
one of the only good parts of that whole movie. Yeah.
They did do her justice. Like,
She's
in a bad
perfect.
movie. Like, I think they did okay with a couple characters, but like she was probably the best that they put the most effort into because she was in the trailer. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
That hits me. And like, if they bring her back, I hope Anya Taylor-Joy plays her. Like, she was absolutely perfect. Yeah, she was great. I always loved a lot of the struggles and things that Magic went through, and just having to go back and forth to limbo and having to rule it, and it just really being a big part of her life, and her really struggling to like be good, even though she's like continuously missing like parts of her soul. I love her Eldritch armor, and then her freaking like all the stuff about her soul sword. Like, she's just an amazing character, and Magic is amazing.
Yes. One of the founding members of the New Mutants. She didn't go through that whole giving a piece of her soul to Mephisto thing till later. She was a teenager when first introduced. Then she got de-aged back to a child for a while, and then got aged back up into a teenager, and then became Darkchild after selling most of her soul to Mephisto. She has a weird relationship with Peter, her brother. She did admire him very much in the original New Mutants. He was her hero. And then after she became Darkchild, she didn't really care at all one way or another about him. So they have a very weird relationship because of her loss of her soul and her inability to connect to her emotions. Yes, Anna Taylor-Joy as Illyana Rasputin in that New Mutants movie was the best part. Now, if you guys remember, the New Mutants was a movie that Fox made and was getting ready to put out whenever Marvel bought Fox. And so then Marvel, the MCU, attempted to fix the storyline and make it better, but the initial movie they had to begin with was shit. So what you got was a movie that is a little less shit than what they originally made.
And it got hit by COVID. Not that that made it any worse of a movie, but it made like the whole like ad campaign mean nothing because like they couldn't show it.
Yeah.
Then they just ended up, I think, dumping it online, didn't they?
Yes. So I do hope we see a resurgence of the Magic character.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see Anna Taylor-Joy come back to play the character. I think she was perfect casting and she did a great job. I think the one thing that movie did that I didn't anticipate happening is they introduced Lockheed, her purple dragon, in it, which is great. And so that's technically canon to the MCU. So she returns, we can get it. What?
Isn't it usually Kitty Pryde's dragon?
So Lockheed, I think his origins were with, and I could be wrong about this. I think his origin was with Kitty Pryde, but he eventually became Magic's like thing. Like,
because I was gonna say because I remember that part of the movie. I was like, wait, what? But I don't know that much. I've just seen.
Yeah, typically because of her connection to Hell, Lockheed is more.
I don't know how Kitty would have gotten it to start. So that makes sense.
She was a bad kitty, that's why.
But I mean, her disc can jump through time and space and universes, so she could be in the MCU pretty easy.
I mean, she is technically already in the MCU,
that specific Anya.
Because New Mutants was
be
an MCU
wherever
property,
she needs to be.
I guess it wasn't because they don't consider that canon to like an introduction to mutants to the MCU.
I think
it was still a Fox release.
It's connected to like the Wolverine and stuff because like they
like
talk about
the
what is it called, the organization that like made X-23.
I don't remember
Mr. Sinister's name and real name.
Oh, Nathaniel Essex.
Essex Corp. That's what it was.
We're gonna move along. Let's see. So that was Joey. What did you have for your number 2?
Go with our favorite flame-headed motorcycle riding, chain slinging hero out there, Ghost Rider.
Just feel like my head is on fire.
Right.
Would he work on penance? Would his penance stare work on penance?
I assume penance feels fear, so yes, because the only requirement for the penance stare to work is that you feel fear. It won't work on Daredevil.
No fear.
I do believe that has happened in the past. Ghost Rider has tried to penance stare Daredevil, and it doesn't work. Now, is that because Matt can't see the penance stare? It could be, but the comic explanation is that Daredevil doesn't feel fear.
That's just what he says to sound cooler.
Yeah.
So he tells everybody.
Nightmare says, but why not, Danny?
Yeah. Again, could be because his eyes don't work.
Yeah.
But maybe his like seeing with sound situation makes it still pop. I don't know. But the canonical explanation is that it's because Daredevil is the man without fear. Cool. Randy, what do you got as your number 2?
My number 2 is the Human Torch.
The original or the second one?
This one specifically, who is flame punching and then standing over the burning body of Hitler.
Sorry, but
which you guys can't see, but yeah.
Can we just do all heroes punching Hitler from here on out?
So I believe I could be wrong, but I do believe that is the original Human Torch, which is an android. And the body that would eventually become Vision. But yes, that is the original Human Torch prior to Johnny Storm becoming the Human Torch in the image.
But yeah, I love the Human Torch. Not just because he punches Hitler, but because I like the original not original, but the 2000s era, Chris Evans Human Torch.
There are definitely worse versions.
Good, but they are fun, so I enjoy them. But yeah, the Human Torch is just fun. Out of the Fantastic Four, well, Sue's probably my favorite, but then the new one is being played by
Joseph Quinn.
Yeah, who played like he was. I loved his character in Stranger Things.
Yeah, he was Eddie.
Can't
Eddie.
think, okay, I was gonna say,
Eddie.
can't think of what his name is, but I do love him.
Eddie. Uh-oh.
Oh.
We lost them.
Well, that sucks. It's just you and me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
He had quite the theme going with his pictures. Not really sure what that was about.
Yeah, although it does make me feel a little awkward for my second pick, and I don't know why. I don't know why. I can't imagine.
What's wrong with your second pick?
Baron Zemo was a Nazi.
Oops.
Wait, did you? Sorry, did I not make that specific? That's why I was like, okay, you have to hold on. Yeah, you have to bear with me on this one, guys. Yeah, I gotta explain this.
You know what though? I really liked him in the Falcon and Winter Soldier. How they portrayed like how smart he was. I think that's how it was always a problem with like the Avengers.
Yeah, I liked him in Civil War, where they show him. He's not just like a super genius though. Like they show him actually having to stop and learn how to do all the programming stuff and everything to control Bucky. Like there's that scene in the yeah, the hotel room, and he's just like trying to translate stuff. I thought that was a really nice touch to really flesh out his character.
Yeah, I mean, and it shows that he's willing to learn more. Like I get what you're saying, like about the evil genius part, but he actually put the time in to actually learn all those things and do that stuff. That's what kills me. Like, dang. Oh, no, did you freeze? I think Landon froze. No, everybody's frozen. What happened? Landon, come back. Landon's gone. Danny's gone. Joey's gone. Randy's gone. He's coming back. Well, everybody, I'm not really sure what happened to all my co-hosts, but I will find out really soon where they're going to and if they're going to come back, or we might just be done with this episode for now. They said they're going to hop back on. Wow. We shall see. Hello, Deontay. I've been I haven't been abandoned. They're having Wi-Fi issues. We're not really sure what happened with that. That's okay. Your internet died. Oh no. I know you suddenly froze. You were gone. I thought it was something I said that upset you, so I got nervous for a second, and then I realized you were gone. Let's see if I can. I'm going to go snoop and see where everybody's stuff is. Be right back.
Hi, Jen. We're back.
Hi.
Fixed it.
Yeah, our internet like shit out. It just out of nowhere.
It couldn't handle the heat.
Reset the router, reset the modem, and we did have Charter on my street earlier today messing with something. So I'm gonna blame it on Charter and their terrible internet services.
We sacrificed Landon to get our internet back.
We did send Landon a new invite to get him back onto the show. Hopefully he gets that soonish. And let's go ahead and move along. What was the last thing I said?
I was talking about Captain America, or not Captain America.
We were talking about
Human
somebody
Torch.
and Hitler again.
Yeah.
Human Torch. Okay.
There we go.
He's one of your favorite Marvel characters. Yes, we were talking about Joseph Quinn is playing him in the new Fantastic Four First Steps. Now, we also got an incredible choice for Johnny Storm in Michael B. Jordan for Fan Four Stick. But obviously the movie is just not good at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so much worse than even the earlier ones. Landon is restarting his computer. He will be back as soon as he can be. In the interim, Randy, what do we have in chat?
We have, let's see. We're number 2, right?
Yep.
Nightmare and Nerdscape says Archangel.
Archangel's a great choice. Now, alongside Hank McCoy, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Angel was one of the founding members of the X-Men. Warren Worthington III, a child from a very wealthy family. His parents did not appreciate that he was a mutant and tried to keep him hidden and out of the eyes of civilized society. So he had to wear a special harness that kept his wings down so he could wear it under, so he could hide them under his clothes. And the only time he was allowed to be himself was when he was on missions with the X-Men. Eventually, Apocalypse showed up and decided to turn 4 mutants into his Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and Angel was turned into his Angel of Death, or Archangel, as he was redubbed. And then his wings, his metal or his feathered wings that he had always had, were replaced with cool, razor sharp 90s metal wings. He also got a much slimmer, dark Angel costume where you couldn't see his blonde hair underneath it. His skin turned blue. And then not only did he have razor sharp wings, he could then throw the razor blades out of his wings as a projectile attack, a la Gambit, which just turned Angel into a much more hardcore character for the hardcore 90s. And he stayed in that Archangel form for a long time until finally being reborn as the Angel that we know and love. And he has not been Archangel since.
So I have a question.
Shoot.
Does he have to wait for those razors to use them again? Or does he have like an endless supply of razor sharp feathers to like shoot
Based on the way the comic was drawn and his use of the wings, it was unlimited.
Feathers.
Yeah. He just shot those suckers out there like back to back to back to back to back, and he just had more.
Yeah.
Like he never got rid of them.
It's kind of like unlimited ammo, like infinite ammo. I think that's awesome. I want that.
I imagine since it replaced his feathers, there were layers on top of layers on top of layers of feathers there, which you would think would make it too heavy for him to fly, since his ability to fly, his mutation that allowed him to fly was the fact that he had giant fucking wings and hollow bones that allowed him to fly.
And steel is heavier than feathers.
And then Apocalypse was like, what if they were metal? And Marvel was like, I guess he could still fly.
And what if he had a lot more trauma to carry along too?
Yeah. What if he went from being a cocky, blonde, rich kid to being a really tortured,
I mean, he was pretty.
guy with
In the third
metal
movie,
wings.
that is another scene that's like pretty effective. Is like him as a kid trying to like grind his wings off.
Yeah.
That's
that
pretty
was
traumatic to start with. So I would say I think he had it, and also like to be your mutation, and your parents still not wanting you to be like seen as a mutant. It's like you have the most like publicly appealing aesthetic in America as like this, majority Christian.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Have angel wings? Like, what
I'd
are you
moved in the
talking
Bible
about?
Belt, open a church,
Yeah.
claim I had a real angel that came to me from God, and then Anyone that said otherwise was fake news.
Yeah.
And I'd offer people salvation. Be, look at this fucking angel that God sent me. I'm the only one that actually knows what's going on. And you'd make billions of tax-free dollars. It's definitely a racket to get into, as opposed to being like, oh no, I'm high society and I do business and I cannot have a child with wings on their back.
The best thing that he could have done, the best thing that happened to him was Apocalypse. Trauma aside, Apocalypse knows how to market an angel.
I mean, in Sabanur, the first mutant, like he has rights. He was there before everyone else. But yeah. Let's see. That is all of chat. My number 2, Landon's back.
Landon.
Yay!
Hi, buddy.
Where was I?
Got him.
What was that?
You were isekai.
That was
That was just darkness.
yeah.
You all don't realize I don't exist when I'm not on the show.
You were if believe it or not, Mr. Mixius Pitalik pushed you into the intestines of the crypto popcorn bucket. And that's where you were you were deep inside them dog guts for the last several minutes. Just like you said you wanted to be earlier. But anyway, the show must go on. We had to reset the internet on our side.
I show a little bit of my soul, and this is my thanks.
Anyway, my number 2 is from the pages of Marvel Comics. What happens whenever one of the lamest Spider-Man villains decides that he doesn't want to die from all of the brain trauma he's got from Spider-Man beating the shit out of him for decades, and instead supplants Spider-Man's brain out of his own body and replaces him with his own brain? That's right. It is the Superior Spider-Man, my favorite version of Spider-Man for many, many reasons. One, Doc Ock realizing that Spider-Man all these years could have just been killing him and chose not to, and that he'd been pulling his punches the entire time he'd been fighting him. When he rips Scorpion's jaw off in his first supervillain battle as Spider-Man was incredible. And him just being like, oh shit, Peter could have been doing this the whole time. And then realizing the responsibilities that Peter had to the people in his life and how he had just not been going about it the most efficient way. And then Doc Ock just saying like, what is the most efficient way? And fucking doing that, making Peter a multimillionaire overnight, establishing his own company called Parker Industries, pushing the bleeding edge of science and technology, and not choosing not to be the poor ho-hum penniless kid from Queens that Spider-Man has always been, and instead being a fucking super rich genius millionaire working towards billionaire, and also still being Spider-Man in his free time. Was incredible. It was incredible. It was such a good story. They handled it so well. It was such a great original idea. Now I realized at some point it had to be put back to the status quo, and Peter had to return to his body, and Spider-Man had to be Peter Parker, and that the solution to that was that they wanted to continue publishing Superior Spider-Man stories, so they cloned Spider-Man, which had never been done before, and put Doc Ock's brain into that body, and so they both appeared simultaneously in the Marvel Comics. It was a really cool time, and then they killed that version off and turned him back into the evil Doc Ock, because why the fuck not? And so Superior Spider-Man was gone for a little bit. And then in the Across the Spider-Verse storyline in the comics, they brought an alternate reality Superior Spider-Man to the 616, and he was pretty cool too. Another really cool thing about the Superior Spider-Man costume, Randy, we put that back up there for a second. Whenever they were initially making the first Spider-Man movie with was like 2002 with Tobey Maguire and Sam Raimi directing, they asked Alex Ross, the artist behind Kingdom Come and Universe X and some other incredible Marvel and DC Comics properties. He's an incredible artist. He works in oil paints, and that's what he usually does to like produce comic panels, which they're just gorgeous. They asked him to come up with a Spider-Man costume for the movie, and what he came up with is exactly what Superior Spider-Man is wearing. So Marvel owned this costume, but they chose not to use it for the Spider-Man movie. They went with a more traditional Spider-Man costume. So then fast forward decades, and Marvel's like, what are we going to do for the Superior Spider-Man? And boom, they use the Alex Ross Spider-Man costume with the black lenses and the spider shape being part of the black and the red just being like a relief. And so I just think all around it was such a good idea. The character turned out so well, and he was so well written, and I miss him every day.
I do want to. I for a while I wanted to read this, and I haven't, and I really want to. What was his relationship with J. Jonah Jameson?
His relationship with Jonah was that he didn't put up with his shit at all, and he
Okay.
made Jonah look like a real fucking idiot.
I didn't know. I didn't know if he was like, I'm going to quit, and thank you for this opportunity, sir, but I'm going to go start my own company, or if it was like this dude's saying what to me.
Yeah, it was very much like so you can take the image back down. So what has been common in the comics for a long time is that Doc Ock and Jonah had an on again, off again working relationship throughout the years where he would try to help Jonah take down Spider-Man. He would either be paying him, J. Jonah Jameson would either be hiring Doc Ock, or they would just be working together, or people that J. Jonah Jameson was working with were also working with Doc Ock. But they have had a working relationship in the past, and Doc Ock does not have much respect for Jonah. And so in the first instance where they met in Peter's body, he tore him down immediately, called him like an idiot, and that he had always been delusional, and that his war on Spider-Man was stupid, and like he should treat people better, all of that kind of stuff. Made Jonah feel like the smallest man on earth, and then he left. He didn't talk to him anymore, which Peter obviously had to come back and be like, I'm sorry.
I'll take
afterwards.
more pictures for you.
But anyway, that's
Wait, what was his relationship with Aunt May?
So that was weird too, because at one point Doc Ock almost married Aunt May, and Spider-Man had to stop him, and now he's in her nephew's body, and somewhat still attracted to her.
Let's give it itsy bitsy vibes,
which was a little weird. Yeah, it was weird. They did address it in the comic. I don't remember exactly how it went down, but I know that it was a weird moment between Superior Spider-Man and Aunt May. That being said, Landon, are you ready? Everybody had to wait in moments of anticipation for all of our internet troubles to be fixed.
Next time there's like a potential
to get to this
cutout, we need to say anticipate, and then once we come back, patient.
That'd be great if our internet worked working.
Yeah.
Landon, are you ready to give me your number? Landon, you're number one, please. That one's extra long because we're not doing this show. We're not doing Hit List again for another 3 weeks, and it's my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
You're number one, Landon.
So, remember how I started this off saying, I'm going to go for more obscure characters, not necessarily like total unknowns, but a bit more obscure? Well, I'm taking that back because my number one is the Maker. The person one of 3 total characters that survived the end of the Ultimate Universe. His whole goal is to now recreate the Ultimate Universe, a place where honestly, he really did suffer. Being Reed Richards, if everything went wrong, it makes an incredible villain that's just super intelligent, but with just a ruthlessness and an uncaring sort of ends justify the means, and the ends are fucked up anyway, sort of ideal.
Yeah. I also love that he decided to wear that helmet and he shaped his head inside of it, and then just had like a weird alien shaped head.
Xenomorph cosplay.
Yeah, xenomorph head for so he could fit more of his brain in it, the helmet.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think that since he can stretch his body, he could have done any shape he wanted, and he chose to do a giant cone head.
Yeah. He had options.
He had options.
Jen, what's your number one?
Spider-Man.
Good pick.
So I love Spider-Man because he is such a relatable hero. Like, I love the fact that he has money problems. He has problems at work. Like, he has relationship problems. Like, he can go out and defeat Venom, but he always has a hard time delivering pizza on time. You know, and there's so many different versions of them. Like, I love with the Across the Spider-Verse, you got to see all these different versions of Spider-Man. And I remember going to a Comic-Con, and I swear, except for Spider-Pig, I think I saw almost every one of them. Like, everybody can like cosplay as them in like their own way. And but yeah, Spider-Man, I loved all of the movies. That's actually, don't shoot me, I don't really read comics a lot, but when I do, I like the Spider-Man comics. So he's my favorite.
I won't shoot you. You're
Okay.
welcome. One of my
Jen.
favorite recent pieces of Spider-Man media is that Dropout did an episode of Smarty Pants. I think it's the first episode of that series, where one of the comedians does a bit where he talks about how Peter Parker Spider-Man has a societal responsibility to start using the N-word, so that people assume that he's black and doing good things to help black people and society's opinion on them. And so he said that Peter Parker has to be like, people will be like, "Thank you, Spider-Man," and he'd be like, "You're welcome, N-word." And I stand by that. I think it's a great idea. Landon, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, I'm sorry, Jen.
Okay.
Even the system tried to kick me out, so I'm really sorry for that. I was very much in the wrong. Even the universe is saying I'm in the wrong, and I'm sorry for just bullying you. I'm sorry.
Joey, what's your number one?
Oh, this one stems back to my childhood, and I finally got to see him on the big screen recently with the new Deadpool movie that came out, and that's my favorite card slinging hero there, Gambit. So,
How did you feel about the Channing Tatum Gambit? What was your feelings on it compared to the Taylor Kitsch Gambit of the X-Men Origins era?
not a Channing Tatum fan, gotta tell you. So,
Okay.
not gonna be my biggest vote for the character, but at least he got his screen time. So,
Yeah, I strongly agree. I think Channing Tatum was not a good Gambit. I think he was a joke on Gambit, and everything people were excited about was like, he's like, "Oh, I'm a huge fan. It's my favorite comic character. Can't wait to play him." And then he gets his chance, and he like makes a joke out of him. Yeah.
I don't know if he made a joke out of it. I think it was
He had the
written to be a
chance to.
joke about him.
Yeah.
But I do think back in the day he would have been a very good Gambit, like just enthusiastic about it and like would want to do it right, but then didn't get his opportunity then. But
yeah,
it definitely wasn't like a Gambit that I was excited about.
yeah, I think that
I was excited to see Gambit.
the Taylor Kitsch version is worse, I would
Mhm.
say, than the Channing Tatum version, but I don't think either of them are a good version of Gambit by any stretch.
The main Gambit that I know is the 97 X-Men, because like I watched that was like that, and the original Spider-Man show from the 90s was like what got me into Marvel and stuff. And I do love that Gambit.
I think the main thing is the look. Gambit's tall, skinny. He's kind of lanky. He's acrobatic, and he's a card shark. Like, that's the main thing.
Right.
He's like a New Orleans gambler who, he chooses cards as his weapon because he tends to be around them a lot because he
Right.
gambles a lot.
I'm pretty sure in the 90s show there's like a scene where they're at the mall because it's the 90s, and he has like
That's the first episode.
Yeah,
Is whenever
he has
he's
like
saved when he meets
huge,
Jubilee.
huge stack of playing cards that he's like stocking up, and he's like flirting with the cashier. But yeah, that's just a very good bit to just have. Like, a
he's at
random
the mall to
throwaway
buy
and-
new playing cards,
Yeah,
as one
that he
does.
does have to buy them himself.
Yeah.
Um,
It'd be a weird mutant power to generate playing cards.
No,
to
I'm just
throw.
like-
that is so. That'd
like-
be so genetically weirdly specific. You know what I
as
mean?
it- there's definitely a mutant that could create them for him.
Yeah, probably.
Mhm.
I'm definitely on Krakoa. In the
Mhm.
Krakoa era, Krakoa could generate
Can't you
them
just
because
make me an
Krakoa
egg?
controls trees.
Can't you just make me an egg that has cards in it?
Yeah.
Why do I? They're like $4 a deck now.
Anyway, Randy, what's your number one?
My number one is Captain America, as seen here, punching Hitler.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Never
He's
Name
thought of
name one bad thing Hitler ever did. Anyway.
Yeah. You can't make that joke. You have a uniform upstairs.
That's right over there.
Oh,
Actually,
right over there.
It's hanging over there with my
Right
cosplay
there.
stuff.
But yeah,
It's
it's in the room with us.
Yeah.
But yeah, just Captain America. He's one of the best Marvel movies that we were talking about. Winter Soldier, Captain America, and the Winter Soldier. It's the two of them together. But yeah, he's just fun. Also played by Chris Evans, of course, and the running theme. I don't know why Nazis were on the mind, but yeah.
Couldn't imagine what brought that
couldn't
up.
imagine, but yeah, he's just a cool character. He's like one of the classics and just all around cool guy. Which I didn't really know a ton about him before the Marvel MCU started. Because I was more X-Men that my know-how. But he's a really cool character. I love that he's like a paragon, but then like kind of evolves into like the not just a symbol of America, but like of justice for everyone and all that
Mhm.
stuff. And he punches Nazis. So what's
does.
wrong with that?
Yeah.
You would be surprised how much harder it is to find Marvel characters punching Nazis than DC characters. There are so many DC characters that punch Hitler.
That's because Marvel Comics wasn't around in the 1940s.
Right.
Well, retroactive. Cool. They have Red Skull. There's a lot of Red Skulls. Yes. So like I was trying to, I don't know if you noticed, but there's maybe a little bit of a theme going. But yeah, there's a lot of Red Skull that's like in place of Hitler, besides like the Captain America punching Hitler, like on the cover of one of them, like before we even got into World War II.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool. What do we have in chat?
In chat, we have
number
I think
ones
we have
in our
don't have any
downtime.
Number ones. We have a number 2 from Deontay.
We did that.
Did we?
Peter Parker, Spider-Man, OG
Okay.
Earth 616. Yeah. That's the same as Jen's number
Okay,
one.
yeah. And
No
then we
number
don't have
ones
any
in the
number
chat. That is
ones.
fine. I will move along to mine. My number one should be a no-brainer to literally anyone who's ever met me. The show is named after him. The shelves behind me are chock full of probably this character the most out of every superhero that I'm into, but it is Wolverine. The old Canadian canonical head, the soldier, the ageless soldier who has fought in every war since the mid 1800s. Probably the only Canadian who's never said I'm sorry. People will. I don't know. I do know why. Everybody's a fucking edgelord, and they get so goddamn excited about anything that doesn't look superhero-y. But like, people love the brown costume for Wolverine. The brown costume sucks. It is not good. It doesn't look good. There's nothing about it that I'm like, oh fuck, that's the hero I want to save. I want to save me. He's wearing literal shit colors.
What would
Like,
you prefer?
that
Yellow
one.
spandex?
No. Yes. Thank you for quoting the first X-Men movie. Yes, this is the Wolverine costume that I will always love and always think of as the Wolverine costume. I think the brown one's dumb. And I might be alone in that, but I've never liked it. There was his original appearance in Incredible Hulk. He was wearing a somewhat similar yellow, blue, and black Wolverine costume. It's what he wore in the initial X-Men cartoon. It's how I was introduced to him. There have been many variations on it. They've gone down to 2 colors with the blue and yellow, which is what they used when they made the Wolverine costume in Deadpool and Wolverine. But for my money, it's going to always be the big-ass shoulder guards for whatever reason, the blue gloves, the blue slashes with the black rib cage, the big red and black belt, the Batman ear boots that matches his helmet.
Those
because why the
wings
fuck
are
not?
crazy.
Why wouldn't his boots match the shapes on his head?
Like a Wolverine.
Aerodynamic.
Yeah, like a Wolverine. When Len Wein and I forget the other guy's name created Wolverine, they did not know that a Wolverine is a real animal. They thought it was a female wolf. So that's why the original Wolverine costume has whiskers like a wolf. as opposed to the Badger or Wolverine, as they're also known. I think Badgers and Wolverines are very similar, if not the same creature. But
where are you at on that?
huh?
That's back checker. Where are you at on
Yeah. But anyway, love Wolverine. I prefer this costume right here.
I do really like his X-Force costume, where it's
That's my
gray
second
and black
favorite. The
with
gray
the
and
red
black with the
eyes.
red lenses is
Mhm.
my second favorite Wolverine costume.
I didn't care for the lenses. I know they had to do it, but in Deadpool Wolverine, they didn't pop the way they do in Deadpool's. So it was cool to see it, but it was just, I was like, "Ooh, that looks odd." I think because you can still see part of his face.
Yeah.
It works
The
in-
lenses
works in
in
everything,
Deadpool
but-
and Wolverine were CGI generated. They were
Yeah.
not part of the costume.
And maybe that's why. Maybe you could just really tell.
So it
but-
was a little weird. But yeah. Anyway, my favorite superhero of all time. So next week's hit list, we're not doing the hit list next week. We will be introducing a new segment as part of our planned rotating segments. So hit list is going to be 3 weeks from now for the next one, and we will announce that list prior to that week on whatever the segment we do before that is. But anyway, for this week, this has been the hit list. Thank you guys for joining me for this very special birthday episode. Joey, thank you for joining us on the show. It was great to have you here with us. We were on track to finish this episode in an hour and a half, which was not that fast, but it was pretty fast until our internet ate shit. So thank you, Charter Spectrum Internet, for never being reliable. You're the worst. Can't wait to get fiber optic cable and be able to finally get a much faster internet service that isn't so fucking spotty. But anyway, thank you guys for being here. Thanks for being in the chat. Thanks for joining me for my birthday. This is one of the main things I wanted to do for my birthday. Jen and Landon told me I could take the week off, but honestly, hanging out with you guys is one of the best parts of my week. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you for everybody that joined us on the show. Jen, do you want to say anything to the nice folks?
No, thank you guys again. It's always fun to interact with everybody in the comments. I really enjoy seeing people's top fives. So I'm really interested to see what you guys think about the new segments and interacting with you guys with that stuff. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, Landon?
Just like always, thank you for tuning in and talking with us in the chat. You know, we would be talking to the walls without y'all, and you're the ones who actually make this a show. And I hope you all are really excited to see how the show changes and evolves with the new segments in the future.
Yep. Randy?
I mirror that sentiment. I'm excited to do the new segments and stuff. And thank you all.
Joey, got anything you want to say to the folks?
No.
Okay.
Not much.
All right. Man, a few words.
Very few.
Yes. Anyway, you guys have been great, and we have been Cutting Edge Hero.
See y'all.